Coming up, a story about a guitarist from an iconic rock band and his estranged father, a Vietnam vet who suffered from a war that wouldn't stop playing in his head. Searching for reconciliation, this rock prodigy wrote a song that paid tribute to his father's military service. Riddled with bullets, fallen soldiers, and enduring psychological scars, it became one of the most harrowing songs of an era. Today, we honor an anthem and its story. Next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you ever decorated your tablet or your Trapper Keeper with the names of your favorite bands back in the day, you're going to dig this channel. Make sure that you subscribe right now and click the bell so that you don't miss out on our daily nostalgia. We also have a Patreon you're going to want to check out. There you're going to find an additional catalog of exclusive content. You can even become an honorary producer to help us curate this music history. And you can also get our newest merch, including our Vintage Years collection at professorofrock.com or up here. Back in 1991, Alice in Chains guitarist Jerry Cantrell found himself temporarily homeless. So he turned to a fellow Seattle rocker for help, the man that helped so many, Chris Cornell and his wife Susan Silver. They agreed to take him in until he could figure out other living arrangements. So Jerry moved into a little guest room that resembled something like a converted closet with just enough room for a bed. While he was there, Jerry's thoughts turned to his father. Now, the two didn't speak very often and really weren't involved in each other's lives at all. When Jerry was a baby, his father, Jerry Cantrell Sr., left to fight in the Vietnam War. He would be there for 2 tours and 3 years of his life. His physical absence then and his emotional absence after he came back would have a devastating effect on Jerry's mother, Gloria, and Jerry as well. Jerry was 3 years old when his mother introduced him to a stranger in uniform that she said was his dad. The psychological trauma that Cantrell Sr. accrued from the war put a tremendous strain on the family. And in Jerry's words, it splintered his family apart. His parents divorced a few years later when he was about 7 years old. Jerry would later say of his dad, "He didn't walk out on us. We left him. It was an environment that wasn't good for anyone, so he took off to live with my grandmother in Washington. I didn't have a lot of my father around, but I started thinking about him a lot during that period." Fast forward back to that fateful night in Chris Cornell's guest room, Jerry couldn't get his father out of his mind. So he started to write about it. And it all just started coming to the surface. All the disappointment, all the anger, all the sadness. And it started to take shape in the form of a song that he would call Rooster. But as he played, Jerry started to realize that he couldn't be angry with his father any longer. He tried to see things from his perspective, to think about what he'd experienced in Vietnam. From the empathetic perspective, Jerry had a gut-wrenching epiphany. He asked himself if he could have done any better than his dad. Jerry couldn't say yes. In that exact moment, he admitted that he needed to let go of the past and make peace with what had happened, what had transpired. "I certainly had resentments," Cantrell said, as any young person does in a situation where a parent isn't around or a family is split up. But on Rooster, I was trying to think about his side of it, what he might have gone through. To be honest, I didn't really sit down intending to do any of that. It just kind of came out. Now, as Jerry wrote through the night, he knew he was onto something that would be life-changing. Alice in Chains recorded the demo for Rooster at Eldorado Studios in LA during a session that was set aside for the Cameron Crowe singles soundtrack. Of course, an album that showcased much of the Seattle scene's burgeoning talent, including Soundgarden, Mother Love Bone, Pearl Jam, Screaming Trees, also Mudhoney, amongst others. There's also contributions from Paul Westerberg, formerly the Replacements at that point, the Smashing Pumpkins, Jimi Hendrix, and Anna Nancy Wilson's The Lovemongers. Great soundtrack. Alice in Chains, for their part, contributed Wood. It was a tribute piece written in memory of Mother Love Bone's lead singer Andy Wood. We just talked about him, who died of a heroin overdose in 1990. Jerry remembers Cameron Crowe had already come to us to ask for a song for his movie singles. So in the session that was meant for recording Wood, we ended up demoing about 10 songs, which included all the stuff that ended up on the Sap EP, Rooster, and a couple of others. The song and its album Dirt were produced by Dave Jordan, who had already worked with the band on their debut album Facelift. Dirt expanded quite a bit on their 1990 debut, Facelift, delving into darker aspects of life that had already been part of the Alice in Chains MO. But with Dirt, they found themselves digging even deeper. The band wanted to address topics that most people wouldn't even talk about. Not so much to encourage people to embrace the dark, but more so to put out a warning of sorts. I always looked at Dirt as sort of a cautionary tale. Really, the album was about surviving and triumphing over the sinister elements of being human. Jerry said, "We did a lot of soul searching on this album. It's a lot of intense feelings. We deal with our daily demons through music. All the poison that builds up during the day we cleanse when we play." I love that. As we go into this breakdown of Rooster, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Right now, you can get a pair of Zenni's ivory tortoise shells, just like the ones that I'm wearing. It's actually a modern twist on a classic, really. Let's go to Zenni.com and search by this style. You can even see how you look before you buy when you use Zenni's mirror feature. So many great styles. Check it out today. As for Rooster, that song would be a means of purging poison not only for Jerry, but in time for his father as well. Rooster was released as Dirt's fourth single. That was on February 22nd, 1993. The song's title is actually a direct reference to Jerry's father, who had been given that nickname actually long before he went to Vietnam. Apparently, Cantrell Sr.'s grandfather gave him the name because he thought he was a cocky kid. That and that he had an alfalfa patch of hair that always stuck up like a rooster's comb. Rooster is a harrowing look through the eyes of Cantrell Sr. as he fought in Vietnam. But Jerry had to do his best to imagine what it must have been like since his dad would never really talk about it. Jerry remembers asking him once about Vietnam. The response he got was, "That's dead, son. Let it lie."
Papa and I never really talked about the war at all. I asked him about it one time.
So it was really up to Jerry to fill in the blanks. The brilliant way that Jerry wrote it and Layne Staley interpreted it as a listener, you feel like you're in the song. I mean, it places you right there. The song starts slow and builds with that haunting progression and anticipation that has you looking over your shoulder just to make sure that you're not being watched. It almost feels like you're surrounded by the ghosts of fallen soldiers, or that some unseen enemy is just out of sight. Now, a big part of the credit of this haunting performance of this song has to go to Layne Staley. He absolutely annihilates the vocals in this song. I mean, from the moment he lays into the crooning intro. When he breaks into his rock, kick it into overdrive wailing chorus. It's just an otherworldly experience. For me, Layne Staley is one of the greatest singers of that era. He has a very few peers as an emotional and electric vocalist. We're going to do more on him for sure. As the lyrics open up, we're dropped into the underbrush of a Southeast Asian jungle. It's clear that Rooster's experience in the song has already been playing out for some time. Ain't found a way to kill me yet. Eyes burn with stinging sweat. Seems every path leads me to nowhere. You get the sense that this is really nothing new. Just another arduous day out on patrol. Just another day of misery and just devastating hopelessness. For a moment, Rooster pauses to think about his family back home. Wife and kids, household pet. Wife and kids, household pet. But as he does so, bullets start to scream past from somewhere. And here comes the enemy. They've come to snuff the Rooster. It's everything that he can do to try to survive another assault from the Viet Cong. They come to snuff the Rooster. In the second verse, several telling images are all meshed together. Walking tall, machine gun man. They spit on me in my homeland. They spit on me in my homeland. Gloria sent me pictures of my boy. Got my pills against mosquito death. Got my pills against mosquito death. And then we arrive at my buddy's breathing his dying breath. Oh God, please, won't you help me make it through? God, please, won't you help me make it through? The way that Layne Staley delivers that desperate plea, it's as haunting as anything put on record in the 90s. It's such a bleak and heart-wrenching few seconds. I mean, this is one of the greatest artistic depictions of the realities of war. And then before this harrowing reality has enough time to soak in, we're back to the chorus, back again to the onslaught of the enemy. Here they come to snuff the Rooster. Ah, yeah. Here they come. You know, he ain't gonna die. As the song closes, you can't help but wonder who had it worse, the fallen soldiers or Rooster, who has to live with the chilling memories of their deaths. It's no surprise that Jerry's father struggled so much after returning home from war. I mean, as many returning soldiers would attest to thereafter, surviving when so many others died, that would bring a sense of guilt, you know, for still being alive. Jerry, for his part, seems to have had an advantage his father really didn't. From an early age, he discovered that music could be an outlet for the pain and suffering he felt. He said, "My way to speak is through my music. Instead of keeping feelings inside all twisted up, I let it out in the music. It's out of your body, out of your soul, and spoken. Taking something that's ugly and making it beautiful is something that's of interest to me." I love that quote. The music video for Rooster, that was released in February of '93, is directed by Mark Pellington, who also directed Pearl Jam's Jeremy. The video opens up with a 50-second mashup of Vietnam combat clips, Cantrell's family photos, and interviews with both father and son.
It's dead, so let it be.
When Pellington sat down with Jerry's dad to talk about his experiences, it was actually one of the only times he ever spoke about the Vietnam War.
It's a sad experience, and I just hope nobody else has to go through it.
Now, the video itself, it's an artistic masterstroke, blending a rapid-fire flurry of wartime images and sequences throughout. As various shots cut in and out, just like the song, you feel like you're right there, you know, inside of Rooster's head, experiencing all this trauma firsthand. Cantrell Sr. makes another appearance in the video. Filtered in black and white, you can see him shown hunting in the woods on his property in Oklahoma. But as Layne Staley lays into the lyrics, "Ain't found a way to kill me yet," the video kicks into a full-color flashback, and you're immediately transported to the jungle where Rooster is leaning his head on his gun. The exhaustion and tension of the moment is palpable. Then just as you think you're settling in, the video cuts to a close-up of Layne Staley singing. Behind him, a giant screen cycles through Vietnam footage. And then you're back in the jungle with Rooster and his squad on patrol. The video continues like this through a dizzying array of imagery. So one moment leads to another. You find yourself watching Rooster in the middle of a firestorm of carnage and combat. The agony amps up to almost an unbearable level as we watch his squad lose limbs and lives, as well as a stomach-churning knife-point interrogation. Now, the crew went to great lengths to realistically reenact combat scenes from the war, including hiring Vietnam veteran Del Dye as an advisor. He had previously worked as an advisor for the film Platoon, won Best Picture several years before that. The result was a video that was so realistic and true to what Jerry's father experienced that you're right there, like I said, walking through a tropical hellscape. Fortunately, it was for this reason that MTV felt compelled to pull the video from its rotation. Early on, they received complaints about, Rooster's graphic nature.
One time, you got just about, that's the main thing.
Alice in Chains weren't happy. Who could blame him? Especially Jerry Cantrell, who pointed out a glaring double standard with MTV. I mean, Rooster simply portrayed actual history in a realistic manner. Yet MTV didn't think twice when it came to other genres and other videos that glorified sex and violence and murder. It was a knee-jerk reaction for sure. I think anyone who would take the time to watch Rooster with an open mind would agree it's a story that needs to be told.
It's a weird experience, okay?
Rooster reached number 7 on the U.S. mainstream rock chart and has spent 20 weeks on the chart overall. It's been on a lot of lists since then. VH1 ranked the song at number 91 on its America's Hard 100 list in 2013. And Metal Hammer ranked Rooster at number 12 on the list of the 100 best metal songs of the 90s. Currently, Rooster has about 125 million plays on Spotify, and the music has been viewed 82 million times. Of course, it was also one of the songs featured in Alice in Chains' set when they played MTV Unplugged in '96. Rooster's been featured in several TV shows and movies over the years as well. It was in Daria in 1998. It was in Supernatural. Terminator Salvation that came out in 2009. Is This 40? It was in The Ranch.
Hell, I hate it already, and it's only been an hour.
Makes me happy. I can dance to it.
Jerry Cantrell said that the only hope he ever had for Rooster was that it might be a pathway to a better relationship with his father. But of course, it has become so much bigger than Jerry could have ever imagined. It's inspired millions of people and brought solace to servicemen and women and their families throughout the world. Its impact has been so monumental and, I might add, much needed. It's given a voice to people who, for whatever reason, couldn't talk about their experiences in Vietnam or any number of conflicts across the world for that matter. But there is no doubt that the most important person that Jerry Cantrell ever reached was his father. He still remembers the first time his father saw Alice in Chains play Rooster. They were at a club opening for Iggy Pop. Cantrell Sr. was standing in the back of the club, a total Oklahoma man in a gray Stetson and cowboy boots. Jerry watched from on stage as his father soaked in every note and every word. By the end of the song, Jerry's dad took his hat off and held it in the air as a salute to his son. It was an unforgettable moment for sure. On one occasion, Jerry asked his father if he'd gotten close to capturing his mental and emotional state when he was in Vietnam. His dad's reply, "You got too close. You hit it on the head." Rooster was the starting point for bringing father and son closer together over the years, and now they're clearly pals. On August 1st, 2015, Alice in Chains played at the WinStar World Casino in Oklahoma. Cantrell Sr. turned up to offer his support, and Jerry brought him on stage before they performed Rooster. And you can tell that the pride is just flowing from both directions. I mean, father to son and son to father. It was a powerful moment for sure. It's a powerful testimony of what music can do for all of us if we will let it. Every parent makes mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes hurt us deeply as children. But that anger and heartache that we feel can give way to empathy as we mature and realize our parents' frailty as human beings. Jerry Cantrell's beautiful song, written from his father's harrowing experience, it's an incredible example of forgiveness and compassion. It's a great reminder that human beings are complicated and that judgment needs to take a backseat to mercy and understanding. Leave us a comment about Alice in Chains and this empathetic rock song, Rooster. What are your memories of this song? What are your thoughts and reactions to Layne Staley and Jerry Cantrell, their musical output? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out our breakdown of Chris Cornell's Say Hello to Heaven, tribute to Andrew Wood. And also, don't forget to subscribe below so you never miss out on our videos. We'd love to have you as part of this community. It's about feeling the music and talking about the stories behind the songs. Help us keep this music alive is very important. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk to you soon.